Welcome to Key Tech. Please describe this channel if you're interested in today's video. A recent joint trade report from South Korea's Ministry of Science and ICT and Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy shows that South Korea's semiconductor exports reached $119.7 billion in the first 3 quarters of this year, a 16.9% increase compared to the same period last year. Preliminary data for October alone shows that semiconductor exports continued to reach new highs, contributing approximately $58.2 billion to South Korea's overall exports. This export boom is mainly driven by 2 factors: the recovery in memory chip prices and a surge in demand for AI servers. With increased global investment in generative artificial intelligence and large-scale model infrastructure, demand for high-performance chips has exploded. South Korean companies have successfully seized this opportunity, with exports to the United States and China accounting for 25% and 18% of their total exports, respectively. In South Korea's semiconductor industry, memory chips are undoubtedly the most important, accounting for about 1/3 of the entire chip market. Data shows that the global chip market size is expected to reach $650 billion in 2024, with memory chips accounting for a market share of $220 billion. Semiconductors now account for nearly 20% of South Korea's overall exports, becoming the absolute main driver of economic growth. Since the end of last year, global memory prices have rebounded, prompting South Korean manufacturers to reduce production of low-end products and shift towards high-value-added products such as HBM and DDR5. The continued price increases directly boosted export value. Semiconductor exports for the year are projected to exceed $165 billion, breaking historical records. This growth not only benefited large companies, but also saw exports from medium-sized companies increase by 7%, reaching a new high of $32.3 billion. However, exports from small companies declined significantly, indicating increasing industry concentration. The top 10 companies accounted for 40% of exports, and the top 100 companies accounted for 67.6%. South Korean semiconductor exports have maintained positive growth for several consecutive months since November last year, with a cumulative increase of over 30%. This trend highlights South Korea's key position in the global semiconductor supply chain, especially its technological advantages in memory chips, which are translating into tangible export revenue. As the leader of South Korea's chip industry, Samsung Electronics' third-quarter revenue surged to 86.1 trillion won, approximately Euro 51.66 billion, a 15.4% increase quarter-on-quarter and an 8.8% increase year-on-year. Samsung's operating profit reached 12.2 trillion won, approximately 7.32 billion euros, a sharp increase of 160% year-on-year, far exceeding analysts' expectations. Samsung's Device Solutions division, including semiconductor, chip, and memory businesses, performed particularly well. The memory business was the biggest contributor, with quarterly revenue reaching a record high, primarily driven by the expansion of HBM3E sales and a rapid response to demand for server and AI chips. Samsung's chip division turned from a loss in the same period last year to a profit of 70 trillion won, an increase of 80%. Company executives explicitly stated in the earnings call that strong AI demand led them to focus on launching high-density products such as 128GB DDR5 and 24GB GDDR7 in the fourth quarter. Samsung's profit growth was not only due to improved market conditions but also stemmed from its shared control of 70% of global memory capacity with oligopolies such as SK Hynix and Micron. Through joint adjustments to supply strategies, they effectively drove up prices. Memory chips are mainly divided into 2 categories, DRAM and NAND, which together account for more than 95% of the memory chip market. Currently, the global memory chip market is showing a clear upward price trend. By the third quarter of 2025, the DRAM price index had risen by 47.7% and NAND prices by 9.2%. In the fourth quarter, Samsung planned to raise some DRAM prices by 15% to 30% and NAND prices by 5%. This price surge stemmed from a combination of factors: manufacturers proactively reducing production and the surge in AI demand. After clearing out low-end inventory, manufacturers shifted towards higher profit products, leading to a shortage of conventional memory products. In terms of market structure, South Korean companies dominate due to their technological advantages. SK hynix holds approximately 20% of the NAND market share and 30% of the DRAM market, bringing their combined market share with Samsung to over 60%. These two South Korean giants have jointly driven the continued growth of the country's semiconductor exports. In stark contrast to South Korea, China's global market share of memory chips has fallen below 4%. Major representatives of China's memory chip industry, Yangtze Memory Technologies, YMTC, and Chongqing Memory Technologies, CMT, are facing severe challenges. YMTC focuses on NAND chips and has developed rapidly since its establishment in 2017. In 2022, it became the world's first to launch a 232-layer product. Chongqing Memory Technologies Company, Limited, Chongqing, focuses on DRAM, launching its huawei base in 2016 with an investment of over 100 billion yuan. By 2022, China's market share in memory chips had exceeded 4%, even reaching over 5%. However, the situation deteriorated sharply after the U.S. Department of Commerce updated its export controls in October 2022. With the U.S. adding advanced Chinese semiconductor companies to its entity list, Yangtze Memory Technologies Company, Limited, YMTC, and Chongqing Memory Technologies Company, Limited struggled to obtain key equipment such as EUV lithography machines. Japan and the Netherlands subsequently followed suit with export restrictions, slowing down the progress of Chinese companies in chip R&D. While Samsung and SK hynix launched products with over 300 layers in 2023, Chinese companies' optimization work on 232-layer chips stalled. By 2025, the U.S. will further strengthen its control measures, putting even greater pressure on the development of China's memory chip industry. Despite these short-term challenges, China is actively responding through independent R&D and policy support. The National Integrated Circuit Industry Investment Fund, Big Fund 3, has invested 50 billion yuan in capacity expansion. Yangtze Memory Technologies, YMTC, plans to launch 300-layer products in 2026, and Chongqing Memory Technologies' capacity is expected to reach 300,000 wafers per month next year, a 50% increase. Domestic equipment manufacturers such as AMEC and Nora are gradually filling the gap, and their 10 nanometers and above tools can basically meet demand. Chongqing's valuation has reached 140 billion yuan, and YMTC is also preparing for its IPO, setting a record in scale. Counterpoint predicts that Chongqing's DRAM market share is expected to rise to over 10%. Although increased import dependence has boosted South Korean exports in the short term, China's industrial chain integration is accelerating, and it is expected to catch up within a few years. Global AI demand will continue to drive the growth of the memory chip market. The NAND market is expected to reach $65 billion, and the DRAM market will also grow accordingly. This chip competition is far from over, and all parties are still actively positioning themselves. The global AI race is reshaping the chip industry landscape. It is expected that by 2026, China's self-sufficiency rate in memory chips will reach 50%, significantly reducing its dependence on imports. Although South Korea currently holds the upper hand due to its technological advantages, the competition in the chip industry is a marathon, and the future landscape remains uncertain.